with my buddy Dash. I just said joined by Dash, but we're joined by Dash
Talking
and
in
Dave.
the third person.
Third
That's
person.
weird.
The way you feel.
Good evening. How you doing? What are you doing?
I don't really know, man. I just was like, wait, am I doing the opening or is Dave doing the opening? So I was like thinking to myself, maybe just rock, paper, scissors it and then see what happens. Scissor it.
Oh man.
Yeah, I totally ruined the opening, guys. So
No, whatever.
you're not welcome.
That's what we do. We screw up the opening. We have some fun with it. Just keep it fresh. You never know if you're gonna get something scripted, something unprepared, or somewhere in between.
Yeah. What's up, guys? But anyways,
yeah. So it is. Did my voice just squeak?
maybe
Felt like it squeaked. I don't know. I'm messing around with my audio today. I don't know if I'm just hearing things, but pre-game Bologna tomorrow afternoon or evening, depending where you are. It's going to be 2:45 in the Eastern time zones of me and Dash. So we're on the Twitch tomorrow. You're going to have to catch us there. That's 3 in a row on the Twitch.
Yeah, we pulled the Twitch hat trick this month, huh?
Yeah, what's going on there? Go Oilers, ass Arthur.
I love out of all the comments that pop up, Dave's the first one. He's just like, he's not even saying, hey to Komikas or Misak, hey guys, what's going on? He's just like Oilers. He's like, ugh.
Well, my Leafs having a second attempt to close out their series tonight against Tampa Bay in Tampa, Game 6. They're up 3-2, so they need one more. They got to break the first round course.
Just because of Bernadeschi, I'm going to say Lightning in 7. I'm just kidding.
Have you seen that meme?
Really? There's a meme?
Sam Adamo. I can probably pull it up.
Oh my goodness. Sam Adamo's the one that made that?
I don't know if he made it or if he just sent it to me, just trying to get me going. No, I don't even see it here. I don't know. We were talking about stuff. I was talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect to him because of what he said on his podcast. If you don't know the Dunning-Kruger effect, basically, it's when dumb people are too dumb to realize that they're dumb. So look that one up. It's a very interesting read. It also talks about how smart people underestimate their abilities. So it's very interesting philosophy.
Speaking of smart people, but smart conversation, guys. If you haven't checked out our mini podcast episode that we filmed during the week, where we talked, we had some constructive talk, and we actually had some really awesome comments on that video. Thanks to all of you guys. Gosh, I love our community. That's all I'm going to say in regards to that. But anyways, if you haven't seen that, check that out. But I think we need to get into, because today we have an action-packed show. We've got some pregame, some news, and then we're going to open up the phone line so you guys can come in and absolutely cook everything and everyone. Or if you want to cook Allegri, cook Zidane, cook me, cook Dave, cook other YouTubers. We don't care. Just come in and just do your thing. We just ask, again, be respectful. Guys, we're trying to get monetized here, so don't cost us monetization.
Yes, the kitchen is open this evening.
I will hunt you down. I know. I am Albanian. I know people who know people that pull VPNs of people that find where people are. Okay.
We're going to talk about Albanians tonight. Well, one of them.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a bit of foreshadowing. You guys can throw it in there if you know which Albanian I am referencing to that we'll talk about tonight. We've talked a bit about it in the Discord, I believe, and here on the lives. But first, we will get the pregame out of the way so we can jump right into that call-in.
Absolutely. So I'll go over the injury report while you get the squad list. So we did get an injury report that was brought to us by our good friend Romeo Agresti. He did say Angel Di Maria, Angel, I don't know why I said Angel, my Americanism. Angel Di Maria will miss Bologna due to injury. The Argentine has not made the squad due to the ankle problem that he suffered again. Unfortunately for him, Moise Keane is still out due to a muscular problemo. Unfortunately, he's not there as well. It is possible between in his absence, Sule or Fabio Moretti will start in the number 10 role behind Milik, because Milik is, in theory, starting tomorrow, with Dusan Vlahovic being on the bench for Bologna. So he has healed from his ankle sprain. Ankle sprain. He is healed from his ankle sprain and is expected to be back for the Bologna game. So he will be coming in for that. And right now, guys, got to get some momentum going because we have only won one of our last 6 games across all competitions, and we have lost our last 3 Serie A matches. And yeah, I saw the Allegri out thing in the comments.
Yeah, I don't agree. You know where I stand on that.
Yeah, it's corny. We posted a poll, Turin Giants on Twitter. Go ahead, go on that poll, take a look at it. So again, current squad right now. So we do have Chiesa back. Milik's obviously starting. Between Sule and Moretti starting. And from what I hear, it is a Brazilian back 3. But go ahead, Dave. You got any thoughts on this?
Well, we don't know the starting 11 yet. I don't think anybody really knows this. There's a lot of rumors. We won't shed too much light on them, but people unhappy with the formation changing all the time. It doesn't even really change that much. I don't know how founded those rumors are.
I don't think it's founded. I think we've ran the 3-5-2 probably 96% of the time this season.
We tried a 3-4-3. I think twice. It didn't work out. We never went back to it.
We tried
we've
4-4-2 in the October.
Oh yeah, but that was a carryover from the previous season, I believe.
Yeah.
And then teased 4-3-3s here and there. But to say you guys are lost because you went to a 4-3-3 the last match, but you actually played better in the second half, I don't know. I don't really know where that's coming from, if it's just whispers overheard in the locker room or whatnot. But that's what I heard. The projected lineup, at least on FOTMob, is still a 3-5-1-1.
The interesting thing is I saw the Sky Sport one, and then we have the FOTMob one. So here's the interesting thing. I've got FOTMob ready to roll, so I can share that for you guys, because there's a lot of parallelisms and a lot of weirdness in it. So when we're looking at the old FOTMob Rooney here, our good old trusted source for the 2022-2023 season. So we've got Tech, Gatti, Bremer, and Danilo. But with Sky Sport, they have Gatti replaced with Alexandro. So it's Danilo on the right, Bremer in the middle, Sandro on the left. That's what we saw there. And then Quadrado, Fagioli, Locatelli, Rabiot. This is all accurate, but this one's the surprise here.
That's a surprise for sure. We haven't seen him for months.
I thought, I was about to start posting missing posters on the milk jugs in Turin. But Sky Sports has Krostic here on the left versus Illing Jr. And then the interesting thing is here, so FOTMob says Sule and Milik. Sky Sports says Miretti and Milik. So
I like Sule there better because I think that's just more of a Sule position than a Moretti position.
Yeah.
And Moretti, honestly, he's had a rough second half to the season. He started off real hot.
And as a lot of people argue, the Benfica game buried him, allegedly there. So looking at Bologna and Thiago Motta for me is probably one of the more entertaining managers ever for pre-gaming. The reason is because this dude runs some of the weirdest formations I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, a 4-1-4-1.
Yeah, so 4 advanced midfielders, 1 midfielder in the hole, and then 1 guy up top. So this wasn't even anything like, for example, when he was at Genoa, he was running a 4-2-2-2, like 3 separate twos. Like the guy is absolutely bonkers. But though he is bonkers, Bologna has been in outstanding form for Bologna. Again, their recent loss was 2-1 to Hellas Verona, but prior to that, getting points off Milan, beating Atalanta, dominating Udinese, getting some points off Salernitana. When we met Bologna at the beginning of the season, Bologna was roughly around here in the Spezia zone, and they've turned it quite around. They are officially the ugly stepsister of the 7 Italian sisters, because they've essentially kicked Fiorentina back to the orphanage where they belong. Sorry, Italiano ball fans, but
they're the best of the rest, essentially.
Yeah.
It is pretty tight, other than, first, sure, but 2-7, still pretty tight race.
You know, my favorite thing, speaking of, I'm going to throw a little bit of a jab at Rocco Commisso, but he was like, oh man, if we had big players like Juve does, we wouldn't have half the problems that they do. It's like, bro, you can't keep big players. This it just like I always found it outstanding how much Rocco Comiso talks, and it was funny because somebody in our comments left that for us in the last video. I looked into it, and Rocco was like, "Yeah, man, Juventus, look at them, and blah blah blah." Like, dude, you sold all of your best players to us, and I'm not gonna lie, you may have robbed us blind with Bernadeschi and Vlahovic. That's debatable, but
maybe.
but like, dude, come on, man. Like, that's one of the reasons why I can't stand Fiorentino. Like, nothing against Italiano, I just can't stand Comiso because it's just like the dude, like, hey man, you're 10th. Like, slow your roll. Like, congratulations, you went far in the Conference League. Probably gonna get railed by Inter in the Coppa Italia final. Whatever, man. Like, cool. But anyways, anywho's, that was my little Comiso jab for the day.
Yeah, you really don't like the guy.
I don't. The guy's really annoying. It's just like, you're little, man. Just like leave us alone.
Where's he from? Jersey? Chicago?
Yeah, he's from Jersey. He's from New York. Like I
New
can't.
Jersey, okay.
Like
He's Jersey Shore all the way. Like he's
yeah,
just...
like I can't stand those folk. It's us Midwesterners hate the East Coast.
No, I understand. I get it.
But
I've dabbled in that area. I guess technically I'm Northeast myself.
So looking at recent history between said two squads here, so 19 wins to their 1 win. Obviously, it's meaningless. Every team, because right now Bologna is probably in the best shape that they've been in a really long time.
Our stats have not been good to us lately,
and we have not been the greatest as of recent, especially with the open play statistic that's out right now. But
we haven't scored in 2 games.
Yeah, and we haven't scored an open play goal in like a long time.
A lot more than 2
since Hellas Verona. So looking at it, recent game, we played them 1-3-0. That was a good game that we played against them to close out the season last year. April 16th, 1-1 wasn't the best. Gosh, that game was a heartbreaker because Vlahovic had equalized.
I remember that too. Who is likely not to start or even get any time tomorrow. He's coming off injury and probably is rested as precaution.
Yeah. And then good friend Sarthak is saying, did you guys see the Napoli thing? Yeah,
yes, that was in
it was on our Discord.
Yeah, that's where it was. I think it was Misak that put it up.
I think it was Misak. But anyways, it's funny because they did it for this season. Everyone's going to do it for them next season when they absolutely fall back down to earth. So whatever.
Speaking of which, QR code, Discord, also in the description. Join the conversation. It has been a little quiet. I think we've been in mourning the past few days. It's starting to pick up again. It was really loud up until that last defeat. And then, everyone took a bit of a break, I think. But we're back at it.
Yeah, so kind of looking at some insights that FotMob has provided us. So Bologna is unbeaten in 4 home games, which is something really tough to overcome. Ranked 11 in shots per target per match, 9th in goals scored per match. We're ranked 6th, so our goals, because of our cold run, we've gone down to 1.5. Not doing really well. Haven't scored in there 2. Juve have not lost to Bologna. That's great, but also I'd rather not get a draw against Bologna, just because of current results in Serie A that have been quite helpful for us. So if we move down to the Serie A tab here, so Milan and Roma draw, Atalanta get a win. So if we look at the shakeup of the table here, we've got Milan and Roma tied at 57.
Atalanta nipping at the heels ahead of Inter now. I love it.
Yes. So my goal is to see both Milan squads in the Europa League next year. Fingers crossed. Hopefully.
But you spiteful bastard.
It's you know what? Screw them, in my opinion. It's honest truth to it. But again, this top 4 race is going to be super huge. And then Sarthak is making a joke about the QR code. Oh, that's what that was. I thought you were selling me something. Come on now.
No, that's
selling
you something.
Buy your Milik shirts. Get your Milik shirt, guys. Turngiants.com. You can buy your t-shirts and your sweaters and your coffee mugs. We have coffee mugs.
I'm drinking out of one right now. It's not coffee, but
Del Piero coffee
do what I want.
mugs.
I got the misprint free one. I gotta go like this. It was the prototype, but it's still a mug. It still holds the drink.
The broto type.
Bro, Jesus Christ. So, what are they gonna do? So you mentioned that Thiago Motta is all over the place. So what kind of game are we going to be in for?
It's going to be high pressing because that's kind of what he did when he was at Genoa, where like his teams would just press really high, just to be like really obnoxious more so. So like they would press you really high. Defensively, they weren't known for being defensively good. Even right now, again, their plus minus differential is 1. Like it's just 1.
Just one.
Yeah, they've scored 40, conceded 39. So Bologna have gotten a lot more solid at the back since Thiago Motta's come in, but the thing is, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how it kind of turns out per se, because they played really conservative against Milan, or they might have played a little bit more expressive against other teams.
Yeah, it's just the 4-1-4-1. This is interesting.
It's unorthodox.
Very unorthodox. Nor Notovic. So their main guy up top. This is sort of isolated. I don't know how much they will collapse into support there. It'd be interesting to see. But we can. What would the counter be like though on that?
The counter. So for them, it's more so they sit back and then they use their 4 advanced midfielders to just bum rush forward. That's kind of really how I see a Bologna counterattack being.
But our counterattack against that. Do you just like overload? Like, is it because there's only one like real midfielder, like defensive midfielder? Do you bust around the wings, or do you overload in the center?
You would want to overload in the center and then stretch it out wide. It's one of those things where, let me see if I can pull up our little tech.
Because I'll be honest, like a 4-on-4-1, I don't know anything about this. Nobody does this. Like, you don't see it, right?
Yeah. No, totally. So it's really weird, to be honest with you, because like the only way that you get a clean counterattack is you need to be quick in transition through the middle. But the problem is our counterattack through the middle isn't the greatest.
No.
So I've got it up here. I'll show you guys. I'll give you a quick dashogram.
We need the coaches board up here. We haven't done a coaches board in a while. There it is.
Here we go. So they're in red. So just for the sake of the video, I'm not going to name these just because it would take me.
Just the basics. We don't need to spend half an hour on it.
It's going to take me an obnoxious amount of time.
Well, while Dash is being obnoxious, I have thrown in the link for the call-in. So start loading yourself in. Get in line. There's lots to talk about. It's pretty much up to you guys what you want to talk about. The sporting director, that's probably the biggest news, recurring news the past few days, really picking up a lot of steam. So that's something I wouldn't mind getting into myself. If that's something you guys want to get into. Not much on the transfer rumors yet either. There's a couple, as you would expect. I think the sporting director, honestly, is the big thing, and that's going to really determine that where the club goes in the future. Now, that being said, we still, and this was part of our podcast, we have to change the whole management over. And if we're going for a sporting director before we're changing the management, I wonder how that's going to work out. Or are they going to build the management around the sporting director? Is that something that's smart to do?
It's interesting. Interesting to say the least. But so when we're looking at it from this perspective here, so when these guys, so obviously when we're in a defensive shape, we turn into this defensively.
Yeah, we sit pretty deep.
We turn into something like that. And then these guys are pushing in here. So what they'll do is they'll probably attack, because what they want to do is they want to stretch you out wide. He's probably going to play here. They're going to move up here. So what you want to do in this instance, per se, to force a counterattack is Milik is going to be absolutely crucial to the counter here. So, for example, you have a ball. Say the ball is played to Tech. Tech gets the ball. Tech wants to. Tech has to move it quick to Milik, and then whether it be Sule, Quadrado, Illing, or Kostic, Milik has to be able to send it to one of these guys. So those are going to be your 3 options per se. Milik is going to be crucial in this one because Locatelli, Fagioli, and Rabiot are there to be a final layer of support, because Milik is going to essentially be the guy that dictates the offense, whether it goes to here or here, because when he lays the ball off to one of the wingers, they're obviously going to take the ball wide, and then we just overrun the middle. Because if you can see now, if we catch all of those, this is all of Bologna's front line. They're 4-1. They're 4 advanced midfielders and their striker. If you're able to catch them out of position, you can overload the middle of the pitch here, and then you can attack wide. You can go through the middle. You can do this. And then essentially you push Rabiot, Sule, Locatelli, and Fagioli, and you would leave Locatelli here as like essentially the recycle player for recycling it.
The slide tackle player.
The slide tackle player. These guys are going to be lagging behind. They'll be dragging back to get back in time. But again, it's going to be crucial on how we take the ball out from the counter. It's really going to be, can Milik and the other players, the front line players, be able to get on the same page where they receive the ball and they move it without looking or thinking for the option, because they know the option is going to be there. So that's going to be the one thing where you're going to have to be looking for.
And that really is our problem, isn't it? The link up in the midfield.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, because that's going to be what the issue is looking at it from a ball distribution standpoint, because that's one of the issues that we've had in this 4-game skid that we had. And it's not even a losing streak. I would call it a skid more so, is that final ball, that final decisive pass just has not been there. There is some build-up play. Arguably, there is some movement. We're getting to the right points. Like, for example, if I were to draw, and I'll use our good friend Snipper tool here because I can give a better graphic for it. But if I were to essentially rate how we look, so from use a better color. So from here to here,
I don't know what we're looking at.
Oh shoot. I gotta share the screen, or I gotta share the snipping. I gotta share my lines. But anyways, here we go.
Well, your lines of Coke? You better share those.
Absolutely. So when we're looking at this third of the field, we're not that bad at moving the ball and facilitating movement here. Here in the back end, I think we're good at really moving the ball out of the back for the most part on average. The problem is, and the recurring issue is here. This zone here is where we're not good at. We are terrible in the final third. Whether it be a misplayed pass or, like, for example, from what I've seen, a lot of teams understand Juve's game plan is go here and Kostic and Inshallah. We're going to make a t-shirt for that. But because the thing is if you look at it here, this is Juve's golden zone. Offensively, this is our best zone this season.
Highlighted in gold. I like it.
Most of our goals have come from this area here. Why? Kostic. So what teams are doing now to counteract this is they're stacking. They have one center back on Kostic that's essentially a center back or a right back that's watching him. And then you have another one right there that's watching for garbage balls or recycling balls. Because the thing is when you look at it here from a tactical perspective, I'm going to obstruct Kostic from getting a clean cross. Kostic might beat the one defender here, but the problem is you have the other guy that forces the cross, and then Kostic will send a cross that just goes anywhere over here. No one's able to get to it. This isn't even me taking Dusan or any other players into the issue, but that's going to be the issue, because not once this season have we seen really anything come out from here. This has been a complete dead zone, which is ironic, because last season that was our gold zone, and that was
Quadrado's dropped off too. I think that's a lot of it. The past couple seasons, he's dropped off more and more, and has not been able to deliver like he used to. We do have Matt Misak in here now, though. I think it was a pretty good breakdown. Let's bring him in and see what he has to say. How's it going, bud?
Hey guys, I'm doing. I was expecting doing better, but I'm not doing as well because Yeah, the situation is what it is, and we hope for the best tomorrow. Let's see. You guys, how do you feel? And
Ah,
good explanation, Dash. That's a problem of the team, you know. Second problem is we don't have anybody on the far post. Like neither the midfielder is hugging the far post, neither the wing back is hugging the far post. How many times we've seen the ball going to the far post and there's nobody just bouncing off?
mhm. No, it's a good point. Uh, yeah, no, it doesn't happen.
Like that's if we had one person there, we would have scored about, in my opinion, about 15 more goals. Because I've seen it countless times. It's going there, nobody's even touching it. Easy goals. Like we're missing it because out of position. I don't know what's going on.
Well, there's
Anyway,
nobody really on the right bombing in there.
Yeah.
there's nobody like there is no Lichtsteiner. If you remember how many runs he would have from the deep end, just going inside the box, something like that.
Yeah. No, and absolutely. And just for folks at home, so essentially what Misaka is saying is that we have Kostic that's continuously bombing down this left side. You'll have, and then I'll make our players a different color. I'll make them white. You have Dusan that usually occupies this space here. For
Which is
what
wrong.
reason? I'm not really sure why, because he's left-footed, so I don't understand why he would occupy that space. But what he's trying to say, and which I agree with him, is that if you look here, nobody is usually here to receive it. The closest person is usually right in this zone right there outside the box. At best, you'll see a Decilio or a Quadrado that occupies that space. One of the interesting things when you look at it, and it just might be the player IQ or the players themselves. Let me change this color real quick. Usually you'll see Di Maria right here. Then you'll see Moretti over here, Locatelli over here, Fagioli over here, Alexandro over here. And if you look at this spot here, outside of the one player, there's really nobody there offensively. So if I was the opposing team, we'll use Inter because we hate blue here. I am throwing people here, 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 and starting my counterattack from there.
Easily.
So because everyone's bombing this side, so all I need to do is have two players, one that dummies Kostic, that's essentially the bait, where Kostic, because Kostic can dribble, guys. He's not a bad dribbler. So he'll beat. So like for example, Kostic will beat one defender here, and then this guy will step in to close out, and then it'll force Kostic to send an inaccurate cross. Dusan and Milik, again, like to occupy this space. Where Milik, I kind of give him more of a leeway because Milik is a lot better with his head than Dusan is. Guys, he has more headed goals. It's statistics. You can't even argue that. But for example, you have that one person here, but if you're playing a Dusan Milik, you would expect Milik to be right there. But that's going to be one of those things where you look at it and it's just offensively, we're not doing quite well. And that is partially to blame on the coach, also partially to blame on the players. Because again, an Allegri and a Zidane system, for all the Zidane fans out there, is let my players cook. Because, like, for example, and I'll do a brief Zidane thing where Zidane essentially plays the ball right here with Modric. You have Kroos here, and then you had Casemiro and Modric in this midfield three. Zidane essentially never really made an offensive tactic because you have Benzema, you have Bale, and Ronaldo up top. Benzema said, hey, you three know what you're doing. Go your way. That was one of the reasons why Zidane was unpredictable in his heydays. And it's the same thing with Allegri as well, because if we break it down for a more Allegri-esque or prime Juve, so like, for example, back then we had Pjanic here, Khedira right there, Paulo Dybala here. You had Prime Cuadrado here. You had Mandzukic here. You had Higuain. One of the reasons why we were extremely deadly at the time. And Dow Jones, if you keep texting Allegri out, we're gonna ban you from the chat, dude. Like, quit spamming our chat, dude.
Or come in. I'd rather have that.
Yeah.
If you're so adamant Allegri out, we want to hear your point of view. So hit the link, come on in, and we can have an adult conversation on things instead of just spamming chats.
Yeah,
That's
so,
what we like to do.
So the one thing here that makes it interesting, so like for example, this is I'll say it's the 16-17 season, is you have the ball here with Pjanic. You have 3 to 4 options here, and Allegri would say, "Hey, do what works best for you guys." Because essentially he sets up the formation, the players play off their own systems, their own style, their own IQ. Where again, you have Pjanic that knows how to pass the ball. Kadira very good at passing the ball. Quadrado could beat players off the dribble at that time. Again, Dybala, you can say what you want about Paulo, but Paulo is very, very good in the hole as the number 10. And then Higuain, there's not really much to say about Higuain negative from that perspective. Same thing with Mandzukic, where it's like now the footballing IQ of the players that we currently have is a little bit more raw than what they were previously versus what they have. And that's one of the things about Zidane and Allegri and Carlo Ancelotti as well, is those coaches are, again, clinical counterattacking coaches, but their counterattacking formation is essentially let the players cook. Do I agree with it? Might not be the sharpest tool in the box, but hey, man, they get paid 7-8 million a season. I don't, so
They are professional
You don't
footballers.
get paid.
I don't get paid.
The thing is that nobody understands. When you put a player like that, and this is where you know if the guy is a system player or he's a good player. Simple as that. Because if you tell me some of the Deserbi players, okay, your system players, you put it in the system, it works. Same as the Atalanta players. Put it in a system, which you take it out of the system, it works. Somebody that is coached by Allegri or that sort of coach, wherever you put it, if he was good with Allegri, he's gonna be good with whoever you place it because that's a good player. Okay, so here lies essentially on the player's footballing IQ. The problem is our team currently doesn't have a footballing IQ, apart some players, you know, as seen against Inter. The whole month you've seen it, a lot of misplaced, like the whole season, man. Like how many times have we misplaced counterattacks? Like there's just like 2 3 passes that if you connect it, it's a counterattack. They cannot connect it. They can't stop the ball. We have a striker taking 13 million that can't stop a ball for God's sake. And oh my God, I don't want to go on a rant again about him. But anyways, yeah. But maybe I don't think they need uh, the freedom because they have freedom. They have freedom of to do whatever they want on the pitch. It's during the defense to hold the structure. During offense, you do whatever you want. My issue right now is this play. We need somebody right now because the IQ is too low of the team. But we need somebody maybe with sporting director that comes. Like let's get somebody that can coach them some footballing IQ because they don't have any.
That's actually a pretty good point because with the system that Allegri uses, you need high sporting IQ of your players. And Di Maria, for instance, that would probably be a player with good IQ, right? But
More.
some of these young guys will pick on them for a bit. They have a lot to learn in that area. Moretti, Fagioli, very low IQ, relatively speaking, for the type of system in use. So yeah, I mean, if you do look for a new coach, that is potentially something you do want to look for is somebody that's going to teach that IQ, teach the skills. Yeah, I don't know, and that's really the question, right? You say you like Rio, but then
But then
who?
you deserve it. Like man, let's be realistic for now. He's in the EPL. He ain't coming back.
So Benacenta Dog says we talk about Allegri 1.0, especially in the 4-2-3-1. Dybala, Higi, Mandzukic, Quadrado. You talk about the players having a higher IQ. I think it's more he was willing to field 4 attackers. Well, here's the thing, man. So those guys knew the spaces they had to cover on the field as well. Like, for example, Mandzukic knew his defensive duties as well. That's why he was willing to field. Because remember, Mandzukic was originally a number 9 that was fielded as a left wing, and I think he had more juice to come up and down the field than most players today. He was able to cover in the defensive area, understand that he could be a point person to open up the game on the left side of the wing. Same thing with Mandzukic, or same thing with Higuain and Dybala, and then Quadrado as well. I mean, Quadrado knew, and it was interchangeable with Dani Alves because Dani Alves also switched there as well. Whereas, like for example, if we ran that same formation right now with a Kostic, with a Quadrado that's kind of on his last legs on the right wing, and then, for example, who do you play behind the lone striker that's creative? I mean, Pogba's technically not at 100%. Do you play Fajoli where, I love Fajoli, but again, I think he's raw. Whereas like Dybala compared to Fajoli's age, Dybala was a totally on a different level at Dybala's age. So
Well, they
it's
call him La Joya, right? The
yeah,
Jewel. He was a lot more polished at that point.
He was
yeah,
at 22. He was his first season. He already scored like 20 goals with us.
yeah. So in that's the thing there because like for example, the 15-16 season, Dybala double digit goals his first season with Juve, and it's like right now it's not more so that Allegri's not willing to play offensive players. It's really what offensive players do we really have? Because
Because
like
half of them, I'd say most of them now at this point don't have a full 90 minutes. Milik is just coming off injury. Is he really supposed to be putting in 90? That's why he didn't start the other day. So all of our strikers are somewhat injured at the very least.
Look, our issue is we don't. We said it before already on the last live that the construction of the squad is bad. We are filling our holes with our next gen team instead of as a team, and the next gen would be the bonus. No, the next gen is the core, and everything else is the bonus. Shouldn't be like that for the club of our stature. But due to the financial situations we're in, this is the situation we have to work with, and Allegri has to work with, and he is forced to work with. That's the problem. Okay, like if you want to blame what's going on, for example, throughout the season, Allegri is like for me about 55% of the issue because at the start it was a major issue with the 4-4-2 and the 4-3-3 where we weren't a 4-3-3 team. Like most problem was from the management and from the before management, which had watered down to the squad plus the players. At the end of the day, you feel like for me personally, if you go against Inter, whatever formation, whatever style, show some fucking heart, man. Show some fucking balls. Sorry for the word, but what was that? What was that? Like, where is your self-respect against Inter? Like, your fiercest rival. You're gonna just jog around like it's I don't know. You're playing Cagliari. What's this? That's the one that irritated me more than Allegri playing a false 18 because he was using two false nines. For me, it's a false 18. There was no nine. Yeah. So that irritated me more. Like, where like you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Like, the players have massive responsibility. And we don't shoo everything away because we have somebody called Max Allegri.
Yeah.
well, I don't even know how we can explain this one because we've been calling for Ealing for a while. It's just whatever happens behind the scenes in practice. Like it's just
I,
there's
I,
no
I really don't know.
He isn't as good as people think he is. That's
yeah.
the problem. Because
Probably.
I've watched him. I watch him consistently with under 23. He is on and off, on and off. With the third division, you're gonna trust the guy that's on and off in the third division to be playing well with the first team over Kostic. I want to give it a try, but it's not like, for example, a basic example, Sule also played with the under 23s. But when you see the ball under Sule's feet, you know that he is okay. He is not for Serie C football. Okay, he has it. He has that it factor. Ealing doesn't have it. Ealing is pacey. He has a good pace.
Yeah.
But that like everybody watches football for so young, but you can smell when somebody has the talent. That one is Sule. Ealing isn't that.
Yeah, I don't think he may not be. I want to see more of him, of course, to make a better judgment. But
Yeah.
there's a reason why he's not being played. We
It's-
can't say for sure, but I mean, what Misak said, there's probably a bit of truth to that.
Yeah, and it's the same thing where it was with Gatti, where we were like, we were being asked questions about him not playing. We're like, hey, it's we don't understand what's going on at the trainings, at the training sessions, at the practices and stuff like that. And and I think it's been where Allegri says, hey man, if you can play, you're playing. If you're playing good, you can play. I mean, he's put Barbieri, he's put Berenechea. Like, I mean, it's one of those things. If you show up and you're playing well or you're at a good stint of form, he's gonna play you. I don't think that there's really any kind of like a thing for favorites at this point. There's not really favoritism because we're putting in and pulling things out. This comment, we'll talk about this one. So we've bought a top Serie A or the best goal scorer for Serie A, and we've played him like a pivot, a reflector, asking him to do things he can't do. So my thing that I'm really starting to get concerned about with Dusan is it's kind of, and this isn't me saying that it is, I'm saying it looks like a trajectory of like another Piontek, where Piontek has a good half a season at Genoa, absolutely
Yes.
electric, goes to Milan, kind of dips, but still maintains that level of intensity. And then it kind of just disappears the next season. I'm not saying that Dusan is Piontek, guys. I'm not saying that, but I'm starting to get a little bit of vibes like that because it's almost a similar trajectory. Guys, your thoughts?
It's too early for me. Let me wait because honestly we haven't made a lot of chances for him to miss. My only issue is what are you doing to help the team when you're on 30 million? What are you doing to help the team? You're like in his functions to hold the ball and pass the ball. He can't hold the ball or pass the ball. What are you doing to help the team? I know he can't dribble because he's a striker. I'm not gonna ask him to be dribbling. Okay, I'm asking him to do what number nines do. Like if they fight against the defender, push the line back, hold the ball. Simple stuff. I'm not asking for goals and assists and stuff. Yeah, I'm not going there yet. I'm just asking for a basic from a guy that earns 13 million. Your Dave, your opinion?
Sorry, I was actually getting up some other information. I didn't completely pay attention, but just to surmise, you're talking about Vlahovic and how he's not worth the money.
He says about
no, he was talking about more so. We're paying him for Serie A. We got the top goal scorer, and he's being asked to do the off the ball movements.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. No. My bad. I was deep into some other stuff there, getting ready for the next segment. My bad. But no, I don't necessarily like how he's utilized. I think he was probably a rushed purchase, and if we look back at why he was purchased, it was a lot of it was so nobody else bought him. We got him in January because we expected him to be worth $100 million, but $100 million by the summer. So we're like, we'll get in here, pay the 70. It's hefty, but it's going to be a lot more hefty. We need a number one striker. That's, market value. If you think of it that way, in a sense, we kind of got a discount on Vlahovic. Not saying that his output is worth the 70 million. And I don't know if you would change necessarily how he played in that setup, if he would be significantly better. Dash has gone through this. Yeah, you probably say he was different at Fiorentina because he was the target man. Whereas at Juve, nobody is more important than the next guy.
Yeah. Misaki, you got a question. This one's more towards the next gen. So it's talking about Barca putting in a 15-year-old today.
This is wrong because he has started a lot of games already for the next gen since he got promoted in March.
Do you know the number for sure?
Yeah, of course. He played about 3 games as a starter and a lot of minutes as a bench option. So yeah, Yildiz played, but he didn't score any. And he was dribbling well, but he was getting jostled out of the defenders there. So yeah, he ain't ready yet.
I mean, it makes sense because he's young. He's still a teenager, and they're adults in that league.
I wouldn't expect a 17-year-old to be already going on fire. Barcelona, what Barcelona does already, which is they have the same system throughout their whole La Masia. So basically, wherever you put from those kids that grow up from La Masia, they're all successful because they play the same way, same function. Doesn't matter for them.
And which player is the 15-year-old that we're referencing?
I don't.
Someone right now, he got debuted against Real Betis when they were already winning 3-0, a 15-year-old kid. He
Yeah,
did
there's nobody that's 15. I think that's a bit of an
no,
exaggeration, but
no,
there's
15 years, 9 months. He's right now, like today. But that's not. But we aren't in a situation like that. Why would we? They were winning 3-0, so they played a 15-year-old.
okay.
They
I
win.
see. Lamine Yamal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He came in at the 83rd minute, 4-0 with a red card.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Okay.
let's be
He
honest. And they
debuted.
dominated the entire game. It looks like.
He means red
Debuted
card
the
for
16-year-old Moise Kean, if you remember. Back in that 17-18 season,
yeah.
6 years ago, we debuted a 16-year-old Moise Kean. First, first player born in 2000 to play, after 2000, to play in a professional league. Was Moise Kean.
And
So,
then
yeah,
next
we do.
and then the next one is Di Maria. Did you see his Argentina game? He is back to Juve and looks stupid again. He doesn't have to cover to be Di Maria.
Okay, so the thing is, you have a 35-year-old Di Maria. He can get out of form and in form like that. So we have run him to the ground because, as we said, we don't have players that have people like you other than him. He's the sole creator of the team. We have a Chiesa that's coming back from injury. That's not. It has a psychological problem of taking on players because before when he came, he was more. If you saw him, he was more riskier. Okay, he was risking more, but was getting injured, right? So that affected his psychology. So now he's less explosive. He's trying to be less explosive to not get injured, so that he can continue playing. So until he passes this barrier, we're gonna be continuing like this. It's understandable.
Okay, we have a lot of questions rolling through. Jeez,
Yeah.
you're stacking up. Of course, guys, feel free to join on in.
So
You can
next
have your say
one,
as well.
if you aren't willing to stick with the 4-3-3 system that the team was originally built for, you are going to have a completely disjointed attack. We had a lot of injuries at the beginning of the season. That really kind of shifted, and we had
It threw it all
up for a
off.
whack. Another point. At what point has Allegri ever tried to play Keane on the wing opposite to Di Maria or Chiesa?
He has not
He
this
is
year,
not.
Tried
and
last year with another way, remember? With the Morata, Keane, and then Dybala and stuff. It was horrible.
actually, I wanted to bring that up because it was last week I brought up Morata and how he could be a cheap option to slide in.
So Sharif is asking about Illing. Says Illing is the only youngster who has chained game tempos every time he came on. What talent are you judging exactly? When did Sule? He's talking about the under 21s or under 23s. Misak watches every next gen game.
Yeah, I watched the next gen games, the Coppa Italia finals. Okay, I watched the Coppa Italia final. We made a lot of chances. Illing missed the penalty. Illing, every time the ball was coming to him, he couldn't beat his man. He couldn't pass. He couldn't shoot. He was horrendous. Every time I've seen him, it's been okay. If you've seen him 5-10 minutes against Benfica, great. Like I hope he can mix it, man. Like because he's free for us. But I'm not gonna trust as I don't have a lot of faith in him as much as Sule because I watched both, and there's levels in this game. The Sule is on another level of talent, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a bit of it, and that's just it. If you can't trust the guy at the lower levels, you can at the higher levels. Sule hasn't gotten a whole lot of game time, but he hasn't looked horrible when he's been on. Obviously, you look Fajoli, he's had some really nice looks. He's had a couple of bad ones, which would be expected.
Yeah, and then
And same with Moretti, right? Like, you still have to develop these young guys. It's a different league. You're going up 2 tiers all of a sudden, playing against much more physical adults, and you're 19, early 20s.
Yeah,
So
and the next one here is like there's ways to try to build off a balanced 4-3-3 that brings attacks that allows us to spring forward on counterattacks. Kostic and Cuadrado cannot be attacking with fullbacks. Look, hey, you brought up the point. It makes sense. I mean, we've seen instances this game when or the past couple of weeks where we switched to the 4-3-3 and it works. I'm not really sure. Again, guys, you got to understand. I'm not talking to Allegri. I'm not at the Continassa, so I don't know the entire story. We can sit here and say, well, this works or this makes sense, but again, we're all armchair managers. I mean, there's not really We can't
Yeah.
be out there. Like I don't disagree with it.
One issue is for a 4-3-3 to actually work in this era, you have to have fullbacks that actually can cover the length of the pitch. Tell me which fullback we have that actually does that.
Nobody.
Okay, that is why we go back to this team isn't constructed to a 4-3-3. As soon as they bought Kostic, you would be like, no, this if you buy Kostic, it is for a wing back role, not even a winger. It's a wing back.
Yeah.
Either our what's the name, sporting director doesn't know what the player is, what his role is. They just saw wing and then bought the Kostic. They didn't see if it's wing back or a winger.
You mean
You know,
Cherubini?
yeah. I don't think if it's even Cherubini. I think maybe really this summer it was maybe like a large part Allegri, to be honest. He would have told them like Kostic, where does he play? On the wing. Which part of the wing? The up or the down? We don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
bring him. Yes. Okay.
Next question's another one for you, my good sir. Is Illing playing the same role in the under-23s as he does with the senior team? I feel like at the senior team he has 2 or 3 jobs: defend, cross, and dribble.
3-5-2 on the wing. Wing back.
He's a wingback in the under-23s?
Yeah. 3-5-2 or a 3-4-2-1 we play with the under 23s. He plays on the left wing back role.
All right, and the next one is saying, "Oh, stop! Vlahovic broke the single-year goal-scoring record in Serie A and was only behind Lewandowski for goals scored in a domestic league in the role." Did he? I didn't think he got more than 36 goals one season.
No, he means the calendar year.
Oh, the calendar year one.
Yeah, he got 50 or something in the calendar year, which is off of 1 year. I don't base players on 1 year. I base players on many years.
And no, you guys are right. There is a lack of supply as well. We mentioned that earlier with the lack of anything coming in from the right. It's all coming in from the left, and then Kostic is getting double marked. So that's definitely an issue. But who do we have on the right at this moment? We have entire Quadrado.
And his positioning in the box is the issue. Have you seen where he is? He is always in the freaking near post, and the ball is always behind him. Like how are you gonna score, my man? You see Kostic overhits it. It's never in the near post, and you go to the near post.
So, and then the next one is Vlahovic shoots one on target every 3 games. Those are true stats. He's not really one shot every 3 games.
Yeah, inside the box, he had 1 shot off inside the box per game. That's why it's a real stat, yes, because it's shot off a foot, not the header, and we cross. Again, it is utilization of what you do. Okay, I don't honestly. This stuff pisses me off because I don't care how you're gonna shoot or you're gonna head, but position it well and you can execute it to score a goal. You can score with whatever body part except your hands.
The next one is where is passing outlets when we punt the ball 40 yards up to a solo Vlahovic? I never thought that we punt the ball up.
We have at times.
We have at times, but I don't think we consistently punt it up.
We don't punt it up. When we punt it up, it's when we are defending a score or something. It's not when we're trying to build up. When we try to just, if he means like in our half, the ball comes to him so that he stops and passes, and there is a bajillion outlets that a player can do that he doesn't want to know, it's not my issue. But there is always outlets next to him. Always. And he always messes it up. Sorry, man, I'm pissed.
Passionate. It's okay. And Chiesa, I know he started with Allegri kind of slow. I don't want to blame him his recent form too much.
That's not even Chiesa's same story with the devaluing. No, come on, man. The guy tore his ACL.
That, and I will agree, a 4-3-3 is way better. The 5-3 or the 3-5-2 does not suit him whatsoever.
It is, but come on, guys. The poor kid tore his ACL. Like, you're like, we could say, to be honest with you, we're lucky it didn't end up like another Zaniolo situation, where the second he stepped back in, less than a game or two in, tore the other one. come on, man. Like, let's be fair here. When you're saying that Allegri killed Chiesa, like, really, man, the kid tore his ACL in one of the best comebacks he had with Allegri.
They are also referring to the first part of the season under Allegri's first tenure. Remember when we were
Oh,
playing for
you
Yeah, yeah,
mean
that it wasn't
yeah,
good,
you mean when
wasn't
Chiesa didn't have an off season when he was coming straight off the Euros?
and
when
that's
he
a
was
good point
already
too.
injured. When he was injured, he came back, plays a couple of minutes, gets injured, gets
Yeah.
out, and he had that serious back injury that took him out for around 2 months. Then came back in January, played against Napoli, scored or assist scored. Then against we played against Roma, he tore his ACL. I
And
remember.
that's part of his fault, that his mentality, right? Because he's one of those bulldogs that, even if he's not 100%, he just goes at it. That's something I feel that maybe he's learned a little bit with this latest injury with the ACL, how he's been a lot more tentative. But take a year or two off Chiesa there, and you're talking about a 20-year-old, and you got a 20-year-old bulldog. Yeah, he might be maybe
Yeah.
70, 80%. He goes out and gives 110, and there you go. There's another
I
injury.
think that's disingenuine too to say that he killed. Come on, man. Chiesa single-handedly took the Italy team to the Euro final. Like,
Yes, he,
single-handedly
he
put
did
that
also
team
do
on his
that.
back. Like, come on. Knockout stages was literally the Chiesa show.
He created all the offense on that team.
Yeah, he means like that was after Pirlo. Like when he came under Allegri, I didn't see Chiesa. He came, he played a bit, got injured, was getting got injured, slowly getting back.
And then,
Same issues with him, man. Like
yeah.
I love the kid, and he's now getting more timid so that he doesn't suffer any more injuries. But it's like a blessing and a curse. He's right.
Yeah, Joe agrees with the positioning. This one again makes sense. Juventino MC says their bodies aren't fully developed yet. Sule, key example. Also Moretti, man, I've seen
Moretti gets
Moretti.
bald.
He gets manhandled. He moves very well with the ball. His feet just missing the power. That's the one thing I think we've all said here. Once Sule develops a little bit more leg strength, I think he's going to be absolutely filthy as a number 10. Uh,
I've watched him with the under 23s, even the UEFA tournament, the under 19 tournament with the Champions League that we went to the semifinals for the first time in US history. The youth went to the semifinal with Sule and Miretti last year. Sule, Miretti, Ealing, some like those were the main players. Mostly it was Sule and Miretti, yeah. And I remember vividly how Sule was playing super well. And also remember him missing the penalty kick because it was such a weak shot.
Yeah.
And we got knocked out in the semifinal. We're going to the final, and we would have had a good chance of winning it.
well, and there was a couple of games this season in the first team where if he put a little bit more force, he would have beat the goalkeeper. Great placement, great shot, just not enough juice in it.
Yeah, that's time, but that's not a matter of talent or skill.
And then
That's just time.
our good friend Gompachiro says, yeah, Dybala proved if you want to improve your career as a forward, just leave Juve. Dusan is great, but we're killing his career.
Dybala's injured again, by the way.
Yeah. The thing is, though, so is Dybala performing beyond expectations this year at Roma? Like, what is your guys' thoughts on that?
He's been good. He's been all right, but he hasn't been anything crazy.
Because, like, I don't know. For me, it's just like he has great moments, but then it's also the same time. Like, for example, he plays against big teams and absolutely disappears.
Which is what he does.
Because, like, the thing is like we did it when we did our Roma pregame. Remember? So, like, I pulled Dybala's stats when he played against top level teams. He averaged about a 6 out of 10, and then when he played the lower table teams, he averaged like a 7.5 and 8. So it's almost identical to when he played here. I think he might just have more games. That's what I think it is. Because I thought it was interesting because we were looking at that because I remember getting that question once and I was like, I don't know, because he essentially is almost the same as he was here with us.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
Also, he didn't improve his forward career. He is going on with his career. He didn't improve. He just went a bit back, and that was something good for him, for himself. Yeah, because he was a 29-year-old that was already finished, was going like his light was dimming and he was growing stale at Juve. There is a difference between him and Vlahovic. He has a career and a legacy at Juve, Dybala, and going out of the Juve reignited that flame and made him he wasn't stale anymore. Vlahovic doesn't have a career yet, doesn't have any legacy yet. He has to prove himself at a level like us, somewhere higher where the shirt weighs. Dybala has done it. He hasn't. So no, I don't agree with that.
It's definitely a thing having the shirt weigh on you. Certain clubs have that effect. You see that across all sorts of sports. Juve has proven that. There's just something about it. It's a different mentality as well, right? And it's been spoken about by different players. Uh, Basically, what you hear is that there's not necessarily fun. There's fun and kind of comes secondary, but first and foremost, it's about winning. You're there to win, and if you don't win, nothing else matters. And I mean, we talk about that. We echo those same words all the time. It's that nothing else matters. You just got to win. So yeah, not everyone can handle that, especially years upon years. It's very high stress. You do that for 2 3 years, okay. Going on 7 years, and just playing at that tempo, that expectation, having the media on you, it does wear down on your mentality. You don't
Yeah.
have that same freedom as you would at, say, at Bologna. Let's just say.
Okay. One good example, and he is very close and dear for your heart, Dave, is Bernardeschi. No,
Yeah,
look
no,
at
that perfect. It is a perfect example.
look at his Juve career. Look at he's doing now in Toronto. He's doing a lot better than Insigne, who earns
Oh yeah,
like
way better.
triple, three times of him. No, he earns like three. Like Berna earns a quarter of Insigne's money, but is like four times more useful,
Yeah,
more more
a lot more
results.
dynamic on the pitch, just a lot more healthy is the big one.
Yeah, a lot more healthy, game changer, doing everything, and he is happy.
Yeah,
Some people like a small fish, big pond, big fish, small pond.
yeah, that's sometimes just it. Some players are like that, and perhaps that is Vlahovic. We won't know unless he does go to another big team, or if he goes back to a smaller team and then all of a sudden does great again. And you have guys like Sassuolo. What's
Yeah,
Berardi?
Scamacca?
Maka.
No, Berardi. How
Yeah,
he
okay.
never leaves. He won't leave. Like he's kind of past his exit window, if you will. He's always going to be like the Sassuolo guy. He's the
He-
captain now.
He's
That's his
gonna be
pinnacle.
he's gonna be another Di Natale, if you remember from the
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
Yep.
because you put him on the world stage, you put him at a higher stage. You see him for the Zerdi,
Flop.
nothing, absolutely nothing from him. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's a factor.
it's player by player, at the end of the day. But now
You know,
focus on
I think though to finalize this talk is I kind of want to mention this because I always find it interesting. Have we forgotten that sometimes transfers end up as busts as Juventini? Like, I understand that we all want every single player that we bring in to succeed and be successful, and then it's like the second there's a player that's a bust, it's like, oh my god, catastrophe. Like, they happen. There's been plenty of times in Juventus history where we've purchased players and they've just been absolute busts. I mean, it sucks because especially because we invested 75 million. I mean, that's something for sure, but it's like part of me thinks that we overpaid because of Rocco Commisso and all of those guys. Like, we kind of did. We did. They squeezed us for money. That's what Fiorentina always do. I mean, we paid nearly 50 million for Bernardeschi, but it's some players end up being busts. It's just kind of how it is.
Do you remember, saying speaking of busts and high money, let's do a comparison. Do you remember Diego in the midfield, attacking midfield,
Yep.
back in 2009, we got like 45 million euros, and he had one heck of a season in Germany.
Have
What
we?
can we categorize it? It was a total bust. Amauri, I don't know how many million we paid, like 30 something million back then. If you count the inflation, we're talking about double that money, like
Yeah,
60
about
million,
80. Yeah, 80 to yeah.
90 million to a player.
We still have Arthur.
Yeah,
You know,
Arthur is our main bane that is causing our outside problems. I'm not gonna count that because it's not real money. Anyway,
well,
yeah,
it's causing us a lawsuit, but you
Yeah,
know.
I know, right?
like it's not just saying that it's a bust. No, it's causing us a lawsuit. We're going to court.
Because of him. But yeah, but like for example, if we look at it, we look at the past three sporting directors, Bernadeschi, Morata, bust. Um, I wouldn't throw would we throw Douglas Costa as a bust? One and a half good seasons and then
He got injured a lot. It's
okay.
a bit of a
I
bust, but
Yeah, it's we're not saying that he is. I'm just throwing up names there. Aaron Ramsey, bust.
bust, yeah, hard.
Definitely a bust.
But that was a free but high wage, so yeah, I'll still consider it.
yeah, it was a bust. Dennis Zakaria, technically he's not on the team. He's a bust.
Yeah,
McKennie,
bust.
bust.
Yeah,
The thing is, look. If we get the money back, I won't count it as a big bust.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a
If
bust.
you lose the money, then yeah. But look, McKennie, if they get it for 35 million, we've won. We made a huge plus Valenza. They're gonna
Yeah.
come again for another one because McKennie, Kulusevski, and then Zakaria. Chelsea already paid us like 7 million, and we bought him for 5 million.
Yeah.
So we already have made 2 million extra, and he has like if we sell him for let's say basic 20 million, okay, 20 million for Zakaria, he goes easily for 20 million. We make like 22 million off of him, benefit for us. So I wouldn't count it as a past, but as
I
a
mean
player,
more so from a playing perspective. Like money wise, totally different story. So like who else? Pellegrini, our left back. We brought him in, had him for one season, shipped him off to Lazio.
And he still doesn't play.
Kind of a bust.
3 seasons. We got him once we traded
Yeah.
Spinazzola.
Yeah, that
And
it
then
has
we
been.
loaned him out, and then we loaned him out, and then he came and was a bust also. So 3 years of bustness.
Mhm.
4 now.
Oh, what's the guy left winger?
Piazza.
Yeah.
He's a bust.
That is Marotta bust since
So,
2007.
Yeah, that goes back.
so I'm gonna throw this one. This one's gonna be an interesting debate. Was Rabiot a bust?
Of course not.
It doesn't look like that now, but
I know, but if we were going in without this season at all,
he would have been a bust.
Would he have been classified as a bust?
If we spent a lot of money and then he failed, that's a bust.
It's the wages are high, so same thing with a Ramsey. Not as
Yeah.
bad as a Ramsey, but same sort of idea.
The thing is, you have to cost the general cost of the player, total value. Okay, we spending 28 million on Rabiot per net over his whole career. 24 million only.
Yeah, that's not really that bad when you think about it.
But again, I understand the financials, but like I'm saying, more so from just the player performance, as far as just level of performance.
No,
like,
for me,
Okay, so and then Danilo, I think all three of us can agree that Danilo was not a bust. I think he was a win.
No, and we have to understand that we were trying to offload some salary as well in that deal.
So here's another fun one. De Ligt. Do you guys think De Ligt was a bust, or was he?
Yeah.
Did he fall within expectations? Did he bust, or did he exceed?
We lost money. It was a bust.
it's a bust. We lost money.
What about performance, player performance?
He wasn't bad for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, for his age, he was okay. Maybe we were expecting more development with time, but he didn't have any development until Allegri came. Honestly, his best season was under Allegri because look at the defense, man. Look at the defenders, one by one, and each performance. Okay, not the attackers because he won't improve attackers. Look at the defenders, each one. Other than Bremer, because I know he's already good. Everybody for me has improved. Also, not Bonucci too, because he's a geriatric patient for me. He's not a real player. He has to go to a geriatric hospital and just retire. Look at the other Rugani. You see people complaining like, why isn't Rugani playing over Bonucci because he's playing decently? When was the last time you heard let Rugani play was 2016 when he came and he was young. Let's try him. Maybe he's good. Okay.
I like him though. He does a job.
He does his job, but the thing is, his wage is too much for his job.
Sure.
It's another topic. The, like, I'm just saying, like, Allegri coaches defenders, and the lift didn't stay enough to grow more under him. Uh, Bremer, honestly, was better under Juric, but their system is completely different to our system. Our is a low block system. There's a three-man high block. So he was, if you actually watched his games last year, he would hound players to their penalty box, and he would go there to win the ball. So yeah, he is a monster. We have a monster there, but he hasn't improved him, in my opinion.
And then Gompachero says, "Isn't Arthur better than Paredes? Why didn't we keep him?" Issue with Artur is availability,
and he's still on our Bucks, and Paredes will not be in a month.
Yeah, because here's one of the things too, Gompachero, is when we had Artur, he was never available. There was an issue, whether it's his tibia or whether or not he was not in shape. For him, Arthur has some traits that are good, but the problem is his availability was just non-existent. And I just had something I wanted to say, but I totally lost my train of thought. So, here it is. So one of the arguments that I've been seeing for a lot of the Allegri out folk on Twitter was that Allegri has essentially decreased the overall value of all of the players on the squad. I kind of think it's the opposite. I don't, outside of Dusan not performing well, Chiesa with a knee injury. So Chiesa's value, I'm going to tell you this, guys. You can't throw Chiesa being devalued under him. The dude tore his ACL. That you tear your ACL, your value's gone. Your value's down unless you have consistent seasons post that. But if you think about it, Fagioli increased positive value. Moretti as well, value went up. Gatti, his value has gone up. I would say De Sciglio stagnated. Bonucci declined because he's old. Quadrado because he's old. Alexandro, I'm not saying he had a great season. I'm not saying he's a great player. But from the downward trajectory, the downward spiral that Alexandro was suffering from, leveled off. It's not me lowering my standards, as some content creators will accuse people of, but it's being objective.
Anyway.
He's not great. He's not amazing, but he hasn't been a catastrophe. He's had some moments where he's been a catastrophe, but it's kind of tapered off. I'm not saying that let's resign him.
He was more of a disaster before.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Rabiot, his value is skyrocketed this season. That's, again, under Allegri. Who else? Locatelli, I think he's either leveled off or gone a little bit higher up, just a bit.
Defensively, his stock is risen.
Defensively, his stock has gone up. So
his passing is the problem. That's the issue with him. So I say it's levels up because defensively he's gotten better. Passing wise,
needs work. Sule his value has gone up as well through Allegri. So I saw one person, she was like, if it was even for 40 million, I would sack Allegri because he's going to continually hurt the value of the club. It's like, you need to start reading more in between the lines, because I think I've seen more players increase their value than decrease. Outside of maybe Dusan.
She's focusing on Dusan and Chiesa and the attackers. She's not focusing on other spots.
Yeah, and I think we all know who we're talking about. We're not going to call her out. There's too many content creators out there that are too quick to jump on a bandwagon right now, and it's dividing the fans, the clubs. It's dividing everyone. We're trying to push this whole unity thing, and there's no use just going out and just throwing uneducated trash out there.
What unity? Tell me, Dave. You see everybody mocking that unity.
No, I know that's the problem, because they're just they don't give a fuck.
Toxic, man. They are pessimistic, toxic, like vile people. That's the problem. They don't understand the situation of the club. They don't understand that everybody's against us. That we are fighting off field, in field, referees, every single bullshit everywhere. And on top of that, you're gonna criticize the football. Like the football is the last part of it. We're not even there. We're not even. Jesus Christ, priorities, man, priorities.
I like how you're getting mad about it too, because I'm mad about it. I'm pretty pissed off. Like, I don't even pay that much attention to social media, but this has boiled over so much since what was it? A few days ago.
Still,
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just boiled over.
I
My,
understand the Allegri out. Like, let's be honest. Is he doing as job as we expect from a Juve coach? That's three of
No,
us. Can we say
we're
yes?
allowed to be upset.
yeah, we're allowed to
Yes,
be upset with that.
but going off every single post, I'm freaking Juve. I'm seeing like it's not because I'm checking the comments. No, I'm because I follow people that are posting it, and I have to mute them. I don't want to mute them because sometimes they're gonna post something. I want to just track them, reply. I don't want to mute the people, but I'm seeing every single like a jobless maniac just going Allegri out, Allegri out. Even on the photo of Fario, a legendary player back in the 50s, old guy sitting in the J museum like this, and the people are posting Allegri out. Like, what the fuck is the
Disgusting.
guy doing?
My,
An
my
80-year-old man is just sitting there in the picture, and they're putting love, like we love you and we appreciate
and and
Allegri out.
and the thing is this, and this is where I'm kind of saying that us as Juventus content creators, we need to hold ourselves a little bit more accountable here. Like, there's content creators out there that are literally going out saying, or like for example, you'll have people that'll call out certain comments or remarks that content creators make, and then the content creator will say, "Well, that's because you have lower standards for the club, or you are doing this, or you're that." It's like, dude, are you serious? Whenever someone, you can't even, like, for example, they're first to criticize somebody, but then when someone holds them accountable, they duck you.
Oh yeah,
They duck you.
Spoiled bitches. That's all it is. Just straight up, you're a spoiled bitch.
It's because the thing is,
it's
like, for
not only
example,
conversation. That's the thing. You're avoiding the topic
yeah,
because everything is going to the standard. Standard isn't the standard. You go, right? You go towards the standard. It's a progress. You don't criticize the progress there. You're gonna
But
have ups and downs.
let's not even pretend it's just us, because I saw something else kind of disgusting today, and it was another content creator, an inter one. Guess who it is? Whatever.
Okay.
Um, and then he had an altercation because he said something silly to an English broadcaster, ex-player, and then he's gloating all over Twitter that he got blocked by him. Of course you got blocked by him. You're acting like a child. Stop acting like a child, all of you. And,
Yeah,
I'm not blaming anybody in the chat, because you guys, I mean, most people are actually good. I think it's honestly one of these, it's the minority that's just speaking the loudest.
yeah.
Classic. But fuck me, guys. Like, it's ridiculous, and don't buy into it. Just do yourself a favor. It's not worth it.
it's the same thing with our friend Chris too from Inconvenient Truth, where it's like he makes a post where it's like, hey, look, I think with all things to consider, looking at this whole Allegri out situation, I think we need to hold off, figure out a couple of things first before we really go into certain things. And then you have another Juventus content creator that goes out there and just says, oh, well, I can't believe people like this exist. This is insane. And then Chris is like, hey, man, let's sit down. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. Crickets. Nothing.
Yeah, and Thomas basically nails it here, right? And that's what we're trying to say. If Allegri out, then what? Have you asked that question? Have you explored that at all? Because just saying Allegri out is fucking stupid. Have another follow-up.
You know what they say? They say Roberto De Zerbi in. Fam, Roberto De Zerbi has worked in two institutions until now that have, like, he is the hand in the glove. The glove was already there. He is the hand inside it. Okay? Juve right now doesn't have a glove or a hand. Okay? We have nothing. We have a that's the problem. We don't have, like we've said a lot of times, we don't have a sporting project because we don't have a sporting director. Okay, that's the glove. We don't have a network of scouting. Brighton, since why was Graham Potter so appreciated before, if you remember? Now that his whole name is tarnished after going to Chelsea. But last year, I still remember people saying that you should bring Graham Potter to Juve because this Allegri ball sucks. Every situation needs its own manager. Right now, Juve's situation right now, it needs a sporting director to make the environment. Then depending on the environment of what the philosophy is, you bring the coach. No, don't bring Zidane. Like some people are saying, bring Zidane instead of Allegri for right now, etc. No, you're bringing a coach that has gotten the best of high football IQ players and has succeeded immensely in it. I would love Zidane eventually to coach us, honestly. But first, before that, you need somebody from A to B to B to C. You need a coach right now from the A to B part, not the B to C. Okay, that's the issue. And we don't have the ABC. We don't have the line yet. Okay, that's what I'm happy right now with Romeo Agresti was is saying. Like the first contract we're gonna give in this whole season, the renewals out of everything, is to find a real sporting director.
Mm-hmm.
And it is gonna be an external one, not an internal one. He said.
Thank goodness, because the last internal one was like, look, Cherubini for me wasn't.
Lawsuit,
Yeah,
lawsuit.
nothing. But the thing is this. So like, and this is where I'm kind of pissed off at Serie A for, because the reason why we don't have a sporting director is the current legal issues that we're in. Because, for example, if I'm a Guntoli, if I'm a Tare, if I'm these guys, I'm watching. Yes, I want to go to Juve, but no, I don't want to go to Serie B. I don't want to deal with all this issue that's falling in front of me. And I blame, and I know, and I guarantee you, and I can say that this is a tinfoil hat theory here, but I guarantee you, Serie A is dragging this stuff out on purpose to screw up the summer mercado. Because if we had a sporting director now, if we were able to hire one in now, we have something to get ready for. But I guarantee you, they'll say the end of May, early June, or even mid-June, late June, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're good now. We settled. We're fine." And then we hire a sporting director who has barely any time to do anything. And then the season's going to go to trash. And then everyone's going to want Zidane's head on a swivel. And then they're going to say, "Oh man, I want this guy out." Where it's like, guys, my thing is this is like, and this is the issue that I have with content creators where they still treat actual businesses like it's a video game or it's like FIFA. Guys, there isn't where you turn on FIFA, you play manager mode, and that's how it works. It doesn't work that way. You have an entire organization where right now, again, Dave and I have said this plenty of times, we don't even know if this board that's been put in is the final board. Because the thing is they could leave. They could say at the end of the season, hey, we fixed the financials, we're out, we're done. Because that's one of the main reasons why a lot of financially technical people were brought in was to sort out the financial stuff. And then after that, are they being replaced? When are they going to be replaced? What's going on there? That is number one that needs to get finalized right now. And then when that's finalized, they need to sit there and say, okay, we need to figure out how to build the brand of Juventus right now. We need to look at an attacking direction where we need to change our, this is me speaking hypotheticals. We need to switch our defensive first philosophy and look at something different that works. Okay, great. Who's the sporting director? Who's the organizational people that believe in that philosophy, that understand that philosophy? Great. We'll pick this guy. They pick the guy that suits it. Hey, what scouting networks do you need? What players do you need? What manager do you need to make this vision that you have a reality? I need this, this, and this. Great. You put that in. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, that's going to probably take 2 to 3 seasons. 2 to 3 seasons.
Of course.
So
at least until 2025. At least until Chesney that's on 11 million leaves, and Leonardo Bonucci that's on 11 million leaves, and until Alexandro 11 million leaves. There's a lot of people that have to leave, and that takes time. But what the problem is, Juve fans, especially on social media, I forgot the word for it. Like when you have a lot of good coming to you, but you don't appreciate it. Like a lot of great stuff are happening, but you don't appreciate it. I forgot
Just
the English
being
word.
spoiled.
Exactly, because they are spoiled brats. They are used to, because most people on social media are in their early 20s, so they've only seen the 9 year of success. They haven't seen the banter years. They haven't seen back in the 90s before we hit 1993 when we won the Europa League, and then we went on and won the Scudetto, and then went to Champions League final after Champions League final. We were in our banter year again. We weren't winning any Scudetto back then. Okay, so it's a cycle, guys. It's a cycle.
It is.
And it needs time. So you just give it patience. Allegri right now, the problem for me was that they weren't the whole company wasn't honest, telling the fans like, guys, we're financially in a horrible mess, guys. Okay, don't expect a trophy. Our goal is top four and UCL money. We need to get UCL money to balance the books, and then once the books are balanced, we'll focus on the sporting project because Paratici is a crazy person that ruin us for the foreseeable future. He
And
didn't say that.
yeah, and here's one of the things that I give Arsenal credit for because Arsenal, when Wenger left, they said it. Hey, look, we're especially after they built that new stadium. Hey, we're not competing. We're rebuilding. And Arsenal was trash for 6 years. We bantered them. We trolled them for 6 years. Arguably, they just bottled the league, but again, they're
Doesn't matter.
competing
They
for
fought.
it.
Yeah.
They're competing for it. They have a nice young squad where Arsenal now is again, it took them from 2015 to 2016 till now. Because from 2015 to 16 was their last chance to win it, and Leicester beat them to the title. After that, Arsenal was done and buried. But like for example, from that 6-7 year gap, it took Arsenal to blow up what they currently had from Wenger, and then refresh and start with something new. Again, they brought in the right people, the board, the whole top down approach. Again, a lot of people can say Arteta, 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 but he was the final cog in the wheel that Arsenal
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah, the
It was
last piece.
Edu. It was the Edu, the sporting director they had. He is the one that built everything. He did the talent scouting to their under 21 team and the under 19 team. They got Saka and what's the name of the other guy? Their number 10, I think, also a
Or
youth product, and Martinelli also a youth product. So what they did, it took time because they want to go back. They've seen that putting what's the name, a patch on a patch on a patch on a patch, you don't create anything. You know, your wound is this big. Our wound was this big, and we're healing. It will take time, but Allegri out because the football is not enjoyable. Man, it's Allegri. Like, what I'm not gonna expect. Okay, for me, this is my philosophy. Okay, I don't know if it's like you guys. Okay, depending on the coaches, I have expectations from what coach because are based on his philosophy. For Allegri, I know he's a defensive coach. Okay, so I won't focus on his attacking metrics at all. I will focus on how many clean sheets he will get, how many goals conceded, which defenders did he improve, which defenders he gave chances to, and then I criticize him with criteria. If we get at, for example, Italiano, I won't criticize him about how many goals we got conceded. I will criticize him if we're not scoring enough goals. It's like going to an eye doctor and telling him you're not a good surgeon. Of course, he's an eye doctor. He's not a good surgeon. And you don't go to a surgeon telling me, okay, I have a cough and stuff. Give me medications for my cough. Everything has its role. Every coach has its role, and you put it in that criteria. I don't know about how about you guys? How did you
no,
think about it?
I'm 100% with you there. It makes perfect sense. It's just I always find just like for example, people that even if they have a conversation with you and they sit down, they just bring it up, and it just like their points make no sense. Like for example, Juve have never been a selling club, so like I don't understand why the fans are oh, this player's value's gone down, that's gone down. Since when do we sell players? We're not a flipping club. We don't flip like Fiorentina. that
We don't flip. We never flip. But the situation right now with the financial problems,
we have
like
to, but
yeah, Italian. That's the problem. Now that's the thing. We're getting sporting director like Giuntoli. Giuntoli is a great flipper.
Yeah, and that's
Flipper
something to
master.
think about. And I mean, well, Milan most recently has been one of the teams that have gone a lot younger, and maybe sold a couple pieces here and there.
and I think Maldini's done a pretty decent job with what he's had to work with at Milan because they've
Yeah,
given him scraps.
that's what we're
Yes.
looking at essentially for the next few years. And we
They
will
keep
hang on to those little victories if we can. If it's the Europa League right now that we focus on and we win that, sure. If we don't get that, do we at least keep the top four? get that money, get in the championship or Champions League, and continue to build on those foundations, because you need to win something. If it's getting second place, then it's getting second place, getting in the Champions League and making that money. But we have to take those small victories.
And yes, absolutely. We have to also take into account, and for example, guys, we lost our board. We lost everything midseason. There is no expectations right now. We don't even know what the expectations are. The project is gone. It's dead. Whatever project they were doing, it doesn't exist anymore. So this is where I'm going to give you the pain pill, and you're going to have to swallow it, unfortunately. You need 3 years. We're going to need 3 years to really sort this out and be competitive.
At least.
And the thing for me, it's like, we can say, the Champions League, we flopped out of it. What's the point of going into the Champions League if we're going to go out round of 16? Like, let's be honest. We would have finished second in the group and faced Bayern.
I mean, it's good. It's still whatever. You get some money. That's the only
thing. I get it.
Sure. But with the Europa League, you have a trophy.
You have a trophy.
So, it's... I kind of like it. I enjoyed the Europa League this year. It's not something I want to do continuously. I want to build to stay within the Champions League. But if it's a matter of having younger players that need a little bit more experience, and we just become mainstays in the Europa League for 3 years, let's say, like Man U, Sevilla, okay, let's build on that. Let's win at that level.
And the thing is, and I see this argument all the time. Well, your standards are just lower than mine. Maybe your standards are just unrealistic. Because the thing is if you have someone that's 5'1" and you're expecting them to be, you have a standard of 7'1", and that person just can't get there, is it that you have high standards?
Yeah. Because of finances.
So
situations change.
Situations change. So, like, for example, if someone tells you, because hey, look, at least we're getting far in the Europa League, we're doing this and we're doing this. If someone says, "Oh, your standards are getting low," ask them this: what's your parameters? How do you measure? How do you dictate your standards?
For them, those people are still living in the past. That they don't realize the cycle is freaking finished, and to open a stride cycle, it needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of components to come together. It needs to have a plan. Sorry, Dave. I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. I was just going to use an analogy and just pretend your guy. I'm just using guy in the sample. Doesn't matter. You're always happy. You're a jolly feller. Nothing bothers you in the world. That's your standard. You wake up happy. You go to bed happy. Well, one day your wife leaves you. Are you going to be happy the next day?
It just sounds dark.
It is dark. I'm using the extreme example here. Like, are you expected to maintain that stupid, joyful smirk on your face even though your wife just left your ass? No, because the situation changed. And yes, that's extreme, but that's what's going on. Parentici left us. We got divorced with all the legal bills. That's where we're at. So what do? You got to sort your shit out, and it takes a while. If your ass ever got divorced, think about that.
It took
hopefully it did.
It took Inter almost a decade to find their footing again. I'm not saying again we're going to take that long, but like, for example, let's use Maldini in Milan. Maldini came in roughly about 3 to 4 years ago. Took him about 3 to 4 years to get to where they are right now.
Yeah, and they got laughed at a lot.
And they got laughed at a lot.
I was laughing at him
a lot.
Remember, like, he came in 2019, I think, in the summer of 19, and they got Ricky Massara, who we are also keeping tabs on. Ricky Massara, who's a great scout of young talents, prospecting gems, and he brought him purely. So their plan was to, we have this young Leao that has a bit of spark, make him grow. What's the name? Then they got Tonali, Theo Hernandez, a reject from Real Madrid that was playing in Real Sociedad.
But we have a Real reject, but everybody dunks on him. But Milan have a Real reject, and he's the greatest thing on the earth.
There are 2 Real rejects that are insane. One is Theo Hernandez, and the other one is what's the name?
Hakimi?
Yes, Hakimi is a.
Hakimi.
He went to Dortmund. They sold him to Dortmund. Then Dortmund bought it and sold it to Inter, and Inter then sold it to PSG. I Come on. I don't consider that as like, if you're smart enough, if your sporting director and project has a plan, we go there. Our plan being Paratici. Do you guys remember what our plan was under
Buy the most
Paratici?
expensive player there.
Was to win the Champions League. That's our that
Yeah.
was our plan.
Yeah, win it at all costs, essentially.
Yeah, win it at all costs, and it's costing us lawsuits and points and whatever shitstorm you see. That costed us because he went super over the budget. Now it's gonna take time to de-escalate. We de-escalated a lot last year. As I said before, from minus 280 million, record breaking in Serie A, record breaking that last year by Juve, minus 28, 280. Now it's minus 30. Minus 30 only.
This sounds like politics. You have a liberal government that comes in, spends tons of money on social programs, puts the country in debt, and then a conservative government comes in and makes all these cutbacks. And then the cycle repeats.
And in the process becomes the evil guy because he's not giving him benefit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And the other David just come in saying, hello, hope you guys are fine, just got home, and we'll watch it. I think we're about to wrap soon, so...
Yeah, I do have to go in a little bit, actually, as well, so we should wrap it. We had very good discussion tonight. It kind of just rolled into this big, massive... I don't know, it was just a very good discussion. It was all-encompassing, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. An all-encompassing conversation. So thanks for those questions. Thanks for Misak for really giving that perspective. It is nice to have a different perspective as well, because Dash talks too much anyways. I'm tired of him.
I was going to give you, by the way, the lineup, predicted lineup is out by John.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, it is a 4-3-3. It is, sorry. It is Quadrado on the right back, central of Danilo and Gatti, and Alexandro on the left, and then central Locatelli, Rabiot, Fagioli, front Kostic, Milik, Chiesa.
Okay.
Front three, Kostic, Milik, Chiesa.
And what was your source?
Giovanni Albanese.
Okay, yes, and I just got that one as well. I should have looked. Bepe's Telegram. I've been on that, and that's been really good for getting some of the updates. Here's a poker analogy. We had a good hand and went all in, and we went all in, and the bet didn't go our way. Recovery needs time. That works. Yep.
Yeah. Translation: Ronaldo.
Yes.
Translation: Paratici has an addiction. That's the problem. He was using us like a Premier League club without Premier League money, and this is what we got.
It was bold, and it could have worked out. And if he did win the Champions League, and perhaps even went back to back, especially, he would have been a god.
Of course.
Didn't work out. You got to bet heavy. I mean, people at that level, that's how they get successful, is making those big decisions. Sometimes they don't go your way.
Yeah,
I'm okay. The thing was, I was okay with betting heavy, but betting the limits. How many? Which one do you remember recall from that time that was successful under Paratici signing? In your opinion, guys?
nobody. I don't think a single Paratici signing. Maybe Chiesa.
One.
Yeah, I'll give
That's
Chiesa
really
that.
Rabiot, Danilo.
Yeah.
Rabiot, okay.
Because the reason why I'm kind of like with Rabiot is because it was more so when Allegri came in.
Yeah, and he only had one good gear, which is this year.
And then
So
with Danilo, I want to say Danilo took steps forward when Allegri came in as well. That's why I'm kind of like during Paratici, I'm kind of like,
hasn't been all bad, no, but there's nothing special. I guess.
Do we say Kulusevski? Can we argue that or no?
Bomb.
Bomb.
Swedish bomb.
Yeah, not huge.
I'm afraid he's gonna come back to us because he sucks. Anyway.
Let's hope not. Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole, guys. We're about to wrap it up.
We need Tottenham to finish fourth, and they keep him permanently.
I'm praying Leeds stay up, for God's sake. I had Tottenham top 4.
So, Juventini, if you want to follow two teams, follow Tottenham to finish fourth and Leeds to stay in the Premier League, because if Tottenham finish fourth, Kulusevski's stuck with them. If Leeds finishes in the Premier League, McKennie's stuck with them. So we'll get about almost 80 million for both of them.
80 million for both of them at least, without bonuses.
So, guys, buy your Tottenham jerseys now. Buy your Leeds United jerseys as well.
Boy. All right.
Tottenham.
Well, we will end it here, guys. Thank you very much. I'm gonna spool up the music, and Dash can take us away.
All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in to this show. Really good discussions with our good friend Misak, talking about the next gen as well. Your guys' questions as well. Remember, guys, check out the Discord for some more conversations where you can actually talk more so to Misak, Dave, and myself there as well, and KB, because KB was here earlier. But please remember, like, subscribe to the video. Also, don't be a hater. Be constructive in your discussions, and make sure you get it before they're gone. Tottenham and Leeds United jerseys, because for every person that buys one, increases the chances that we're going to sell Kulusevski and McKennie. Anyways, guys, we'll catch you in on the next one.
And the next one is going to be on the Juve Twitch tomorrow for the watch along. See you there. There's no Talk Juve on Monday, so we'll be back here on the YouTube. Me, Zach. Thank you. Dash, thank you. And to all of you, till next time, love you all.